Humans didn't become the smartest species because they were stronger. They didn't become the smartest because they had the biggest brains. And they certainly didn't become the smartest overnight. The truth is, for millions of years, our ancestors were simply another species trying to survive. If you could travel back and watch them, nothing would immediately stand out. They weren't the fastest. They weren't the strongest. They weren't even the best climbers. At first glance, they looked ordinary. So ordinary that if someone asked you which species would one day reshape the planet, you probably wouldn't choose them. And that's what makes this story so fascinating. Nature had already handed out incredible gifts. Cheetahs were built for speed. Eagles could spot tiny movements from incredible distances. Wolves could follow scents that humans would never notice. Every species seemed to have a special advantage. Except us. Humans looked like they had been left out. But nature wasn't creating the strongest animal. It was quietly creating the greatest learner. And that changed everything. The first difference wasn't something you could see. It wasn't sharper teeth. It wasn't stronger muscles. It happened inside the mind. At first, the change was so small that nobody living at the time would have noticed it. Every day brought new challenges. Food wasn't always in the same place. The weather changed without warning. Safe paths one season could become dangerous the next. Most animals reacted to whatever was happening around them. Our ancestors slowly began doing something different. They remembered not just where food had been yesterday, but where it appeared every season. Not just which path worked once, but which path worked every time. The world stopped being a collection of random events. It became a series of patterns. Imagine walking through the same forest year after year. At first, all you notice are trees. But eventually, you realize certain trees always produce fruit before others. Certain rivers become easier to cross during dry seasons. Certain birds always arrive before the weather changes. The forest begins speaking, not with words, but with patterns. And our ancestors learned how to listen. That may not sound revolutionary today, but in nature, it was. Because once you recognize patterns, you can predict what comes next. And predicting the future, even a little, is an incredible advantage. Instead of hoping food appears, you know where to look. Instead of being surprised by changing weather, you prepare for it. Instead of solving the same problem every single day, you remember yesterday's solution. Every memory became another shortcut. Every shortcut saved energy, and every bit of saved energy could be spent solving an even bigger problem. Slowly, almost invisibly, our ancestors stopped relying only on their bodies. They began relying on their minds, but memory alone wasn't enough. Another ability was quietly growing beside it. Curiosity. Curiosity is difficult to notice. It doesn't make you taller. It doesn't make you faster. You can't measure it. Yet it may be one of the most powerful abilities evolution ever produced. Imagine two ancient humans walking through the same valley. One walks past a strange stone without giving it another thought. The other stops, picks it up, turns it over, looks at its sharp edge, then asks a simple question. What can this do? That question changes history. Not instantly, not dramatically, but little by little. Someone discovers that one stone can shape another. Someone notices that a long branch can reach things beyond arm's length. Someone realizes that certain places are safer during heavy rain. Each discovery seems tiny, almost too small to matter, but discoveries have something special about them. They don't have to happen twice. Once one person learns something useful, the next challenge is making sure everyone else learns it too. And that's exactly what ancient humans became incredibly good at: sharing ideas. Imagine discovering the safest place to cross a river. If only you know, the discovery helps one person. But if your family knows, it helps everyone. If the next generation remembers it, the discovery outlives the person who made it. That was humanity's hidden advantage. Knowledge no longer belonged to individuals. It belonged to groups. One person found an answer. 10 people remembered it. 100 people improved it. For the first time, intelligence could grow from one generation to the next. Instead of starting from zero, children began where their parents finished, and their children started even farther ahead. Generation after generation, knowledge quietly accumulated, not in books, not in libraries, but inside human minds. Every conversation became valuable. Every lesson mattered. Every mistake became something future generations didn't have to repeat. That invisible collection of shared experience slowly became humanity's greatest treasure. And as it continued growing, something extraordinary happened. Humans stopped surviving as individuals. They began surviving as communities. A single person could only remember so much, but an entire group could remember far more. Someone became skilled at finding food. Someone else understood the landscape. Another person recognized changing seasons. No one needed to know everything. Together, they knew enough. That cooperation gave humans an advantage no claws or sharp teeth could ever match. But there was still one problem. Knowledge is only useful if you can pass it on clearly. Pointing, simple sounds, hand movements, they helped. But they had limits. How do you explain a place that's over the next hill? How do you describe tomorrow's plan? How do you warn someone about something they can't see yet? Ancient humans needed something better. Slowly, over countless generations, simple sounds became more meaningful. Gestures became more precise. Ideas became easier to share. Eventually, those simple forms of communication became something extraordinary: language. And once humans could share not just what they saw, but what they imagined, everything changed. For the first time, humans could share more than what they could see. They could share what they remembered, what they imagined, and what they planned to do next. That may not sound extraordinary today, but in the ancient world, it was revolutionary. Imagine discovering a valley filled with food. Without language, everyone would have to find it on their own. But now, one person could describe the journey, the landmarks, the safest path, even the mistakes to avoid. A single discovery no longer belonged to one individual. It belonged to everyone. And once ideas could spread, they began to improve. Someone made a tool. Someone else made it sharper. Another person made it stronger. The next generation made it even better. No one had to start from the beginning anymore. Every child was born into a world that already contained thousands of years of knowledge. That invisible inheritance became humanity's greatest advantage. Then came another discovery that quietly transformed everything: fire. Most people think fire changed human history because it provided warmth, or because it allowed people to see after sunset. While both are true, its greatest gift was something much more valuable: time. Before fire, darkness ended the day. But after fire, the day didn't have to end when the sun disappeared. Families gathered together, stories were shared, children learned from older generations, new ideas were discussed, questions were asked, solutions were remembered. Night after night, knowledge continued to grow. And unlike physical strength, knowledge never reached a limit. Every lesson made the next lesson easier. Every discovery unlocked another discovery. Slowly, ancient humans became better at shaping tools, finding food, building shelters, working together, planning ahead. None of those improvements happened overnight, but together they created something remarkable: a species that no longer depended only on instinct, but on learning. The more humans learned, the more they changed the world around them. They adapted to forests, grasslands, mountains, cold landscapes, dry deserts. Not because their bodies suddenly became perfect, but because their ideas kept improving. Every challenge became another lesson. Every lesson became another advantage. Generation after generation, those advantages continued to grow. And that's the real reason humans became the smartest species on Earth. It wasn't because one ancient human was a genius. It wasn't because humans were simply born smarter. It was because millions of ordinary people, across hundreds of thousands of years, each added one small piece to a much bigger story. One person noticed a pattern. Another asked a question. Someone else found a better solution. Then they shared it. The next generation improved it. And the cycle never stopped. Now think back to the very beginning of this story. Open your eyes. You're standing in the middle of the wild. No phone, no house, no weapons, just your bare hands. Nothing about you looks extraordinary. The animals around you are still faster, still stronger, still better equipped for the wilderness. But they have one limitation. Their greatest discoveries mostly stay with them. Yours don't. Every lesson you learn can become someone else's starting point. Every answer creates a new question. Every generation leaves the next one a little wiser than before. That is humanity's real superpower. Not strength, not speed, not even intelligence alone, but the ability to learn together, to imagine together, and to keep building on the ideas of those who came before. That's how an ordinary species became the smartest one Earth has ever known. And perhaps the most fascinating part is this: that journey isn't over. Because the same curiosity that inspired an ancient human to pick up a simple stone is the very same curiosity that still drives humanity to ask impossible questions, explore the unknown, and discover what comes next.